think just coming off of a season that I didn't feel was my best, and wasn't at the place that I felt like I needed to be mentally, spiritually, and just completely overall, and working through that. And so I spent some time and I actually went to Onsite, which is a therapy location in Nashville. I went there and was able to work through a lot of stuff. So I definitely feel like I'm on the other side of where I want to be, headed in the direction that I feel like God is leading me, but it hasn't been easy. And it took some, time to sit down and kind of get myself together and, kind of come to grips with some things and get ready to move forward.
It's Adam and Emily, and you're listening to The Conversation. Today we have episode 302 for you.
Wow, how about that?
How about that? 302. Quick before we get into this episode, there is a podcast survey going out to all of you guys. We'll link it in the description below too, but it's also in Adam's email chain if you're part of the crew. If you're not part of the crew,
go sign up. Go to adamandweber.com and get signed up, and I send out a weekly email, so go do that.
Yeah, it's great. But anyway, the podcast survey, it'll be linked. It's just asking like how we can improve the podcast, things you like, things you don't like, so on and so forth. It'll take about 2 minutes to fill out. It's really quick, simple, to the point. And as a little bonus, there's a chance to win a $20 Starbucks gift card if you fill out the survey. So please take a second. Tell us how the podcast is, what you're enjoying. We would very much appreciate it.
I would be so grateful.
Yeah, so grateful. We got a good episode today. Before, Adam, let's hear our highs and lows, a rose and thorn.
Of this last week?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So a rose, I've never heard of rose and thorn.
A rose and a thorn.
I was just like a rose. A rose, my wife and I get to go on vacation this week, so that's a high. That's definitely super exciting.
You also got a new car?
I got a new 1940 Plymouth. It doesn't run, but we're working on it, and it's going to be the coolest. It's going to be the coolest thing on four wheels. I'm so excited. Thorns. Gosh. I'm excited just to have some time just alone with my wife without 4 children.
That's not a thorn.
No, the thorn is getting away from my offspring.
Isn't that about? The thorn is his children.
No. Oh my gosh. No, well, parenting is challenging.
He actually has 4 thorns at home.
Yeah.
Their names are Hudson, Grayson,
blushing.
Wilson, and Anderson.
Gosh.
Just kidding. He loves you guys so much.
I love you guys so much.
Yeah, they're not thorns.
Yeah, that would be my rose and thorns.
Okay. This podcast is not possible without some awesome partners. Adam, why don't you tell us about who we got?
Yes, our partners today are incredible. The first is Generous Coffee, and Generous Coffee doesn't just make amazing coffee beans, but they donate 100% of their profit to nonprofits all around the world. Ben Higgins from The Bachelor started Generous. It's amazing. We brew it at Embrace every single week. A whole bunch of it every single week, and our people love it. And so if you brew coffee on a regular basis, whether it's for your business or your church, they sell it in bulk. Generous does. And also every place that we looked when we did the last price check, Generous either matched or was cheaper than every single other place. And so amazing coffee. It's a great way to do that. The other partner is Vern Eide Motorcars. Vern Eide is a faith-based employee-owned company that strives to deliver dreams and transform lives. And their goal is excellence in everything that they do. So they sell cars, they sell boats, they sell ATVs, you name it. The type of vehicle, they'll most likely have it. And no matter where you live, they'll ship it to you. I've purchased my last 3 vehicles from Vern Eide. I cannot say it strongly enough. I don't look any place else. They are the only place that I look for vehicles. And so go to verneide.com.
Thank you.
Yes.
So this week you got Jonathan Isaac on.
Yes.
Can you kind of just give us the lowdown on what to expect?
Yeah, so Jonathan is, he plays for the Orlando Magic, was one of the top picks the year he came out of the draft. Just like an amazing athlete. I'm not an NBA guy. I did watch the finals this year, but I'm not an NBA guy. I could not have been more impressed with this guy. He is meek in a great sense. He is humble. He was willing to share that he's gone to Onsite recently, which I thought was really, really powerful. And then he's a person that's been pretty vocal on some pretty hard topics. And I thought that he'd kind of be this loud, boisterous person.
Yeah.
He's the total opposite. Yeah, he's just like, the only reason that I ever say something hard is because I feel like God wants me to. And so I was just really challenged. And so you're going to love this interview, whether you love the NBA or not. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. I just hung out with John Olinger out in San Diego like a week and a half ago, and he was giving me some behind-the-scenes looks at some new shoes.
Nice. Yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah. I love even some of the direction of the shoes that he was working on. I was wearing some Nike Dunks, and he's like, "Hey, you need to take a look at something that I'm working on." That was super, super cool. But no, I'm really grateful for the time. So we typically hear a person's highlight reels. Are you willing to share a current unpretty part of your life? Could be stress, could be grief, could be anything. Is there a current unpretty part of your life that you're wrestling with?
Yeah. It's just the way I want to go about sharing it.
You're like, where do I start?
Right, exactly. Yeah. There's life, man. Life be life, and it's so much. I think just coming off of a season that I didn't feel was my best, and wasn't at the place that I felt like I needed to be mentally, spiritually, and just completely overall, and working through that. And so I spent some time and I actually went to Onsite, which is a therapy location in Nashville. I went there and was able to work through a lot of stuff. So I definitely feel like I'm on the other side of where I want to be, headed in the direction that I feel like God is leading me, but it hasn't been easy. And it took some, time to sit down and kind of get myself together and, kind of come to grips with some things and get ready to move forward.
Jonathan, thanks for sharing that. For someone who's not in the NBA, can you share without getting specific, what is hardest to navigate? Again, not like technically as a player, but is there something that's been like self-doubt, insecurity, like all the above? Like, is there anything that you'd share there?
Yeah, all the above for sure. Just, I've had my fair share of injuries that have kind of plagued me in my career a bit. And so being able to work through that, get back to where I feel like I was before has been a challenge, and just navigating the right direction to go in. And just the personal things that you mentioned, anxiety and all those different things that, just get to you and get into this place of coming back to casting your cares and, not desiring the validation of the world and all that stuff is very much easier said than done.
I just shared with a group of business leaders last week, and I said, if you want to give your kids one of the greatest gifts possible, go to therapy.
Facts.
And they started laughing, and I'm like, no, I'm actually being honest. Like, even for myself, I've gone, I talk about it often and even encourage people in the church on a regular basis. The wise man is the one who seeks out the counsel of others. And I think oftentimes you look at someone like yourself playing at the highest level, and I think it doesn't surprise me at all that you're a person who's like, hey, how can I get sharper? How can I work on some things that I'm wrestling with? I'm honored that you'd share any of that, Jonathan. Your story, instead of sharing like the Cliff Notes version, because people can go on Google and check that out, would you kind of pinpoint one or two pivotal moments that have shaped you into the person that you are today? I'm sure there's so many, but is there two specific kind of pivotal moments that you're like, these two moments really made me the man that I am today? Yeah,
so I mean, first one would have to be just finding Christ. So when I got into the NBA, I was living, man. I was doing everything that I felt like or that the image that I had of what a man was, I wanted to experience it. I wanted to experience the NBA lifestyle, and I did. And but there was always something on the inside of me. I think it was, my parents bringing me up in the church when I was younger. But I always had that kind of still voice, like, this isn't, this isn't who you are, and it just was never satisfying or never truly fulfilling. And I remember, like coming home some nights from the club, when I first got into the league and being like, this can't be it. It has to be funner than this. Like, it has to be more exciting than this, because everyone looks like they're having so much fun. And just feeling like, man, if I can't do this forever, I can't do it forever and find satisfaction. And so, I met a gentleman on the elevator, and he said to me, I can tell you how to be great. And I said, how? And he said, you have to know Jesus. And that man became my pastor.
What?
To teach me about the things of God. It's all in the book, man. If you want to know you said Christmas, but if you want to know the whole story, it's in the book, Why I Stand. But I'd say that was the most pivotal moment of my life, because it introduced me to Christ. And I've been on that journey ever since. And if I had to give another one, I would say getting married. Marriage just makes you better. I think it's this one saying. It's like you can either get bitter or get better. That's what marriage is. You can either just subside to saying, okay, well, I'm either going to throw in the towel, or I'm just going to be bitter and coast through this thing, or I can get better. And you talked about therapy. That's one thing, but just getting better as an individual, and with continuing to conform, God continue to conform us to Christ's image. That's what marriage has been for me, a catalyst to keep getting better as a man, as an individual. And then you got kids. I got 2 baby girls that have taken that to the next level. So I say those are the 2 pivotal moments.
Nothing will refine you and make you more like Christ than marriage and parenting. It's like, I think it's the book Sacred Marriage that talks about it being marriage being a process of becoming more like Christ, and it's sanctifying a person. Yeah. And I was just meeting with someone earlier, and we were talking marriage, and I said my marriage has never been better, and yet it's far from perfect. Let me stress that it is far from perfect, but thank God for our spouses who refine us and make us more like Him. Jonathan, these are some kind of random questions that I'm asking to gain insight, not just because I'm curious. Is it hard to be a believer in the NBA? And if so, why? Like, is it a challenging place to be a Jesus follower? And why is that?
Yeah, I think the easy answer is yes, because it's challenging to be a believer, period.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age. But, the NBA is a unique experience because of, what's afforded to us. We're worshiped, in a sense. And, that's a difficult thing to navigate as a human being, on and off the court. And then at the same time, we're also pretty scrutinized, when it comes to our play and, lifestyle and things like that. So it absolutely creates this experience that is very difficult to not only hold true to biblical truth, but also to authentically do it. I think it's easy to, in a position of power or excess, it's easy to mask. It's easy to quote, John 3:16 and and to call yourself a Christian, but if you're gonna really do it in the NBA or a lot of other fields that are, like I said, worshipped in a sense, it is really difficult, because there is a real dying to self that has to take place in order to find intimacy with Christ. So I say it's difficult. Obviously, most people know the obvious answers. There's women, there's money, there is temptation that makes it difficult for a man to stand. And thank God for grace and mercy. None of us are perfect, but I'd say those quieter ones, or the ones that aren't as noticeable, make it actually harder because for some ways it's easy to scrub up and be like, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't do this, and I'm good. But to really be in relationship and to really know God and to really humble yourself before Him when you're constantly getting validation from other people, it's difficult.
That's so good. That's so good. No, Jonathan, you mentioned just even the temptation end of things. I think that's true in any type of field, but specifically yours. Things that have been helpful for you specifically as a dude when it comes to temptation.
Yeah.
Anything that's been do you have an tight inner circle of guys? What's been helpful on that front?
I would say, just accountability. My pastor has been somebody that I've been able to keep it real with.
Yeah.
And has been able to really help me on that front, and just staying close. I think one of the things that have helped me through the years is and it sounds cliche, but I know where my church is, my home church that I go to on a regular basis when I'm home. And not playing, and those people know who I am outside of basketball, Jonathan Isaac. So I think that helps me as well.
First off, I love that you say you know where your church is. My gosh, that. I think just being connected to a group of people who know you and don't know the persona of you, but they know you.
Right.
And they're really, in the best way, not impressed with you.
That's what I'm supposed to come in.
You have those people who are like, I really don't care that you do what you do and how many zeros are on your paycheck. That's, if you need a gold star, I guess I could find a gold star and give it to you. But just having those people who know you, I think is huge. With the accountability part, just to ask specifically, is that just touch and base every so often, or is that asking specific questions often? What does that look?
Yeah, both. Asking specific questions. Like you said, the touch points of how's this, how's that. All that.
Well, that's incredible. Is that something you asked for? He encouraged? How does that come about?
I think just that, knowing that's what I need.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a natural thing that's kind of happened over time.
Oh, what a gift. Seriously, what a gift. Even several of the guys, I'm not close with any guys in the NBA, more NFL, but even it's just been interesting just to see guys who are so wise. It's no, I'm a human being. You need to ask me hard questions. You need to, because there's an old hymn that says, prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. And I'm that, even for me, I'm that is that could have been written about me.
Right,
and,
facts. No, likewise.
It's I just told someone last week, I don't spend as much time that I do with Jesus because I'm holy, but I do so because I'm needy. And I just see that constant humanity tug of war inside of me. And so I just think that's so wise of you, Jonathan. This is a weird question to ask, and this is actually one of our pastors. He's an NBA guy. He is a T-Wolves diehard psychopath fan.
Nice.
But he asked, do you ever struggle with insecurity with other NBA players? You know what I'm saying? There's someone like LeBron his jersey's being worn by kids in countries I've never even heard of. Is insecurity, even at your level, is that something that you ever wrestle with, Jonathan? And if so...
For sure. I think it's just, I don't necessarily have an answer on where it comes from, but I think it's just natural. It's just from the time that you were a little boy on a playground. There's a hierarchy, and especially when it comes to sport and getting on the court and lacing them up, it's just a reality. And there's an advantage to it on both ends. So it's just reality. It's just real. And I have come to the place of gaining freedom from fear, from insecurity, from self-doubt, all those different things. When I feel the least of those things is when I am the closest to Him. And the opposite is the other way around. And so So yeah, so when I feel like my identity is found in him, when I feel like I'm so, in tune, is when none of that stuff even matters. And even when you said, like, back to your thing about the wander, when I feel myself wandering, when I feel myself desiring the love and the validation of the world and the people around me, that also makes me self-conscious as to what they think and what they're feeling, and that in turn creates more insecurity and self-doubt and things of that nature.
Oh, no, that's good. And it's just, it shouldn't surprise anybody that you feel those same things. Because just like you said, it's something that we all struggle with since really the day that we're born. I mean, and that doesn't go away no matter what kind of success comes your way. You still have that in your ears on a regular basis. Jonathan, leadership-wise, would you consider yourself a leader? And how, if so, or if not even so, how do you feel like you've leaned into that? Like, what does that look like for you on the team specifically in the area of being a leader? Is that a natural thing for you? Has that been something that you've tried to lean into more? Like, what does that look like for you?
That's a great question. I think my personality is very, I would be quick not to call myself anything. And so, so to say that I'm a leader, again, just in the way that I'm wired, it makes me like, oh, like, would you say you're a leader? Like, I would say there are people who see me as a leader because of some of the things that I've done, some of the stances that I've taken, and the way in which those things have rolled out. People see me as a leader. Me, personally, I see myself as like, when you talk about, you said like you're needy, like I see myself as just like, God, like I just need help. Like, I'm not this this person or thing that other people see or whatever. So I would say that naturally I try my best to be authentic and do what it is that I feel like is right for me, and in turn that has helped me in leadership, because I try my best to be genuine and authentic. So people see that, and in turn I think are keen to follow, or they sense that and are keen to follow that. Something that I need to grow in continually. I know that I sense that God has things in store for me to lead and to step up and to do, and I am growing in the place of being okay with that. Like Gideon, like God is saying, like, go lead the army, and I'm like, God, like I'm the weakest in the play. Yeah.
This is an interesting word to use, and I think oftentimes we see it as a negative, but I see it as like a superpower, almost meekness inside of you. And meekness isn't weak. Meekness is actually like the quiet strength inside of you. And there, I would say Jesus, one of his best qualities was this sense of meekness, and like you said. Your willingness to, well, right from the get-go, you're sharing about going to Onsite, and we just met each other, and we got a whole bunch of people listening to this. I just think there's something so disarming about that, Jonathan. I mean, even no joke, like just even in the interactions we've had, like I'm like, I'd follow this guy anywhere. Just because it's not like, look at me. It's not like I'm going to be loud and in charge and whatever. But I think there's something so winsome about just that, hey, I'm a work in progress, and hey, I need Jesus, but I'm also a person of conviction, and so I'm not going to get on my soapbox because I want to.
Right.
If I'm going to say something, it's because I feel like I need to, because of who God is, not because of who I am. So there's something beautiful about that. So I'm going into my next question without even trying. One of my questions was, are you naturally a vocal person that's like likes saying hard things, like saying what.
No. I'm like the most least confrontational person in the world. Ask my wife. She's like, it's something that I've grown in. And the book. Back to the book. The thing that I love about the book so much is not the stand, is not the this bold, courageous guy doing something bold and courageous. It is, I believe the book proves the reality of the transformative power of Christ. Where when I was a kid, battling with fear, battling with anxiety, battling all these different things, I was the number one player in the state of Florida, headed to Florida State, get to Florida State, and I'm struggling so bad, I'm on anxiety medication. That is who God decides to use to stand. And if you strip away all of the contingencies of the stand, you strip away the Black Lives Matter, you strip away all these different things that to me don't matter. What the stand is simply about is Jesus Christ is the answer. Then, now, and forever. And all of those things, all those things made it harder to declare that because of the outstanding circumstances and situations. So that's all it was. And so something else is going to come, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and it's going to be the same thing. Jesus is the answer. It may be easier to say, it may be more difficult to say because of the outstanding circumstances and situations. And so for me, it was like you're talking about, like being the one to stand up and say hard things. It's just not me. And even what you said so perfectly too, of like, it wasn't so much of me feeling like this is my moment to say what God has called me to say. It was like, God, you're asking me to say this, and I know it's not me, and I know that I need you in order to do it, and that's how you ultimately know it's Him. So,
oh, that's so good. Anything else that you would tell somebody who, again, some people just are lightning rods and they just kind of like drawing the lightning. But for that person who's maybe like me and you, because I'm a people pleaser naturally. I want everybody to like me. Yeah. I have no reason to create enemies. Like, I'm like, can we? Funny thing, I was at a police training one time, and just to observe the work they do as a community leader, and we were in these tactical things, and so they were like putting us in scenarios of what could happen. Well, this one scenario, I was supposed to be the police officer, and the person had a gun. And I ended up hugging him. And the guy who is supposed to be like doing something criminal or whatever is also a police officer. And he's like, dude, I would have just killed you. And I was like, well, can't we just hug it out? And he's like, no. So, but what would you say to someone like, when should I speak? Like, even if when should I, I don't want to, people might be upset with me, or like, what would you say to that person who's maybe feeling like, yeah, I feel like I'm supposed to, but I don't know when or what, any advice or wisdom? Like, when have you known when to speak? Because you could speak every day if you wanted to on Instagram.
Exactly. For sure.
When do you feel like, I got to say something?
I feel like, and I want to say too, like, the opposite of that isn't wrong. God made people differently.
Yes, that's good.
But popping in my mind is like John the Baptist, where he's like, look, nah, this is what it is. You're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, okay, John, go ahead. Like, that's not us, like you said. But I feel like what has ultimately stirred any time that I've spoken, take the stand, I was the only player on my team not to get the vaccine. Stuff like that, where I felt like my back was against the wall, and the decision, if I was gonna go along with what everybody was doing, I would compromise my beliefs and where I was. So the stand was, I was gonna need to kneel for the national anthem and to wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. That didn't feel right to me in that moment. And so it was a moment to say, okay, what am I gonna do? This is the decision that I'm gonna make, and this is why I'm gonna make it, because I felt like, I couldn't go along with what everybody else was doing. And so I think there are ultimately moments like that where it's like, almost like you don't have a choice. Well, you have a choice at the end of the day. You can acquiesce, you can do what everybody else is doing, but that tug on the inside of you to stand up and to speak and to do what you feel like God is calling you to do in those moments is when it's necessary.
That's good. That's a really, really good word. Jonathan, something with that. This is again another thought from the NBA pastor here next door. He said, he's like, there seems to be really a surge of more and more NBA guys talking about their faith, just even recently.
Absolutely.
What do you think is the source of, like, why do you think that's happening? Do you think, this is the weird question for me to ask, do you think it's genuine or just popular? Like anything that you would sense there of like something, because I've seen definitely even a growing hunger inside of my church, or even of people coming to church that I'm like, whoa, people that I was kind of shocked that have started coming. Have you noticed that yourself, being in the league, and like, what do you think about that?
I've definitely noticed it, and I've loved it. I've loved seeing, guys like just authentically do it. It's like there's something about that I enjoy and that I feel like God likes is like the notion that you have to be all together and all cleaned up in order to say anything about Christ is it's crazy and it's wrong, but it's almost the sentiment that's put out there, or the stigma, I guess.
Yes.
Where it's like if anybody says anything about God, they have to have their lives completely sanctified, and we don't even have our lives. And we don't even have our lives completely sanctified, and we're putting that on them. And so, one guy that I've seen that I've admired in the way that he's gone about it is Halliburton.
Yep.
He has, I feel like, really authentically just, this is where I'm at, and hasn't even played that dance of having to say, oh, I'm not all there and things like that. Like, that doesn't matter. None of us are all there. Just continue to grow. And so the real answer is I don't know. When you say, is it genuine, or you say, where is it coming from? I don't know. And I think that's really the only answer that there can be, because we don't know. And just allow God to do what he's doing, and to pray for people. And obviously there's a reality in terms of I don't want to even say standard, but in terms of like, when it comes to talking about certain things and people professing faith or things like that, there is a reality to fruit and things of that nature. But I think just, and what I've seen with guys in the league, there is a genuineness to faith. I've seen, some more people popping up at NBA chapels, which has been nice. And so I'm all for it.
I love even that heart, Jonathan. I often will get a similar question about, and I'm like, well, first off, it's not really my place to judge is it authentic or not. I'm just grateful anybody's talking about Jesus, regardless of their heart and where they're coming from. Just everything you just shared there was really, really beautiful. It's like we are all a work in progress, and if you're headed in the right direction towards Jesus, he'll cover the rest for you. And I just think that's wonderful. Okay, I need to make sure we talk about your shoes, Unitas.
Nice.
I'm wearing them right now, and I love them. And I know that I love them because I don't wear them very often, because I want them to stay nice as long as I possibly can. So my assistant asked, she's like, how long have you had them? And I'm like, I've had them for a little bit now, but I don't want them to get dirty. They're the most breathable shoes, by the way. They feel fantastic. Nice. You've shared your heart behind the shoe and all that kind of thing. Question I'm like, what would you say is your goal with Unitas? And how will you know if you're reaching that goal? And you can take that any way you want to take it. The backstory is crazy. I just think it's so cool. Like, even your pastor named it and all that kind of thing. I just think it's so cool. But yeah, what would you say is the goal, and how will you know if you're reaching it?
I feel like my answer on this changes all the time. But when I think about the brand, I just want the thing that it does for me, I'll say what it does for me, and ultimately that's what I want for it to do for other people across the world. When I see the logo, when I see the shoes, or when I'm putting them on, it's a touch point for me and a reflection point for me about my faith, about what it is that I believe, and it reminds me where I am, why I'm here, what it is that I'm doing, and continues to put me on the right track about what's really important, what really matters. And it could be a 2-second thing or a 1-second thing, but it's that little hit of a reminder that that we need. And so, the verse on the shoe is, "He that honors God, God will honor." So when I put that shoe on, I'm not just putting on a shoe. It's a touch point for me to go, I'm honoring God. Am I honoring God? Is what I'm doing honoring God? And it's just that touch point for me that I think helps keep me on the right track, and that's ultimately what I want to do for other people. And so, the shoes, the clothes, it's not so much about evangelism, even though that's a real thing. People are going to ask about the shoes, they're going to ask about the clothes, you're going to be able to share with them, but it's for the person who's wearing them to help them remain faithful, because we need help. And so it's almost like, this weird thing just popped in my mind, but it's almost just like just a reminder. Like you have your calendar, you have your apps on your phone that just remind you about what you have to do that day. And the clothes you put on your body, the shoes you put on your feet can be reminders about who you are in Christ. And the verses are all different, and they all speak to something different. And I've even found myself during the season wearing these different Judah 1 sneakers that have different Bible verses on them, reciting them to myself, while I'm playing, or while I'm on the bench, or while I'm at the free throw line. And that's a real thing. That's real strength. So the goal is to have more and more people reminded and connected to Christ and to each other as we possibly can, and for that to be an ever-growing community of people who love God, love each other, and are just helping.
Jonathan, that's legit. I don't think I've heard, because I've listened to you do several interviews, I don't think I've heard you share that specific thing. I love that. It immediately makes me think of, I think it's in Deuteronomy, write it on the door frames of your house and on your gates. Just those, I think God's just like, man, these humans, Adam and Jonathan, they need reminders on a regular basis. They forget everything. And I just think that's so cool of like, hopefully someone hears about Christ through them and whatever else, but I just love how it's like, no, I'm really wearing them just to constantly remind me who I am, whose I am, and who I'm living for. Because for me, I need those reminders on a regular basis. I love that. Last question. Is there something, it could be tied to shoes, basketball, life, is there something you've learned recently when it comes to making a difference with your life? Like when you think about having impact, making a difference with your life, is there anything that God's been teaching you, or anything that you've just, you've seen God work or move through, anything specifically there?
I think God has been pressing me, or at least what I've been feeling in my heart is like, I want to be the real thing. And there's so much, there's so many ways to get around being the real thing. And there's language that you can use, there's captions that you can use on social media, there's so many ways to portray. I think just our day and age has made it that much easier, but there's so many ways to portray one thing and for it to be another. And I feel like where I am right now, even when you talk about like being impactful and helping people and being an agent that God is able to use to impact the lives of other people, I just want to be the real thing.
Thanks so much for listening to the conversation today. This is not possible without all of you guys. Adam, who else we got to thank?
Thanks to Jonathan for the time. I could not have been more impressed with you. Thanks to our partners, Generous Coffee and Vern Eide Motorcars. Please go find out more about them. And then lastly, thanks to all of you who listen. If you have any MBA friends in your lives, send this episode to them. But I'm just so grateful for you, each and every one of you.
Thanks, guys.